Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the belated edition of I can't even remember what show it is, and I apparently am CJ Hansen. I don't know how that one happened. Oh, I had it on the right one earlier on the graphic. Hey, we're off to a rolling start, everybody. Let's do this for real now. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. Great to see you here tonight for the live Q&A. Yeah, that was a great observation there in the comments I saw by Doctor Who. I imagine Matt with a desk full of phones and he's answering each one to make it a big scoop for the show. I kind of feel like that, Doctor Who. I do like to let you in and let you all kind of know what it's like in this job and what's going on behind the scenes and everything. And yes, right now it is a lot of text. It's a lot of phone calls, a couple of interviews today. So it has been a lot going on and more than a few conversations and text discussions, trying to figure out what's going on. And I am officially the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the clip and the meme of the board with the strings and everything going on, trying to figure out what's happening. That's where I am with this draft. I have completely gone around the bend. I have gone to the point where I was fully on board that the Chiefs were taking Ruben Bain. Then the Jordan Tyson smokescreen threw me off the track, to which I was then convinced that that means that the Chiefs are taking Jordan Tyson. But then what if Jordan Tyson was meant to take the buzz off of Ruben Bain? And then, Andy Reid starts joking with Stacey Dales from NFL Network about taking an offensive tackle. So nobody knows what's going on. I just can't wait for the draft to start because the suspense is killing me. And I imagine it's probably like that for a lot of you as well. It's been a long off season. There's a lot going on. Hooray, hooray. It is Q&A day. Hopefully have some fun tonight and have a good conversation. And I know there's already a lot of comments already here and everything. I don't have much of a monologue for tonight. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into a lot of the topics of the week, things that I would bring up. We got to hear from Andy Reid yesterday, beginning the Chiefs OTAs and offseason program. Today we heard from Nick Bolton and Justin Fields. I thought Justin Fields was interesting, a little bit different than I was expecting, but did strike me as kind of what I saw from some of the press conferences I went back and watched of him in New York. Fairly contemplative, quiet, but thoughtful guy. Really intrigued to see what happens here with him. So anything's fair game tonight. Anybody want to bring up anything, talk about anything, ask about anything? I'm sure it'll be a lot draft related, but we always talk about everything in NFL. Anything else that you need to come up with? Public service announcements, you name it. And we'll just roll with it tonight and see what happens. There you go. You gotta love Bart Simpson. Bart's in the background. Bart definitely sets the tone. You know what you're getting here when you see Bart and golfer Mickey. So let's roll. Oh, I'm going to answer your question, Letro, and then I need to go to Dog Petter with the super chat. Could it be possible that KC has a guard it likes and tries to move Kingsley to right tackle? I've not heard anything like that, Letro. I think the tackle experiment with Kingsley is over. I think they're pretty happy with what they have landed with him as a guard. That was always the fallback option with Kingsley. Certainly they were hoping and thought that tackle would work. It didn't. Now, they never really experimented much with him at right tackle, but I think they're done with that. I don't get the sense that they want to try that again. I think it would have to be an extreme situation for them to do that. Can't say that it's not possible. The injury situation might bring it about, but Chiefs seem to be pretty happy with what he has turned into as a guard. I don't think that they want to take a chance of messing with the psyche that he's established now at that position and the success that he's having. They don't want another setback of any sort. So I think that ship has pretty well sailed. So I don't think so. And I'll be honest, I think they're going to be really happy and pleased with the development of Hunter Norzed. I think he's been taking some strides in the last couple of years, and it sounds like he's been doing some good work this offseason as well. So I'm intrigued to see what he's going to be bringing, especially when you get to training camp. So, and this is the time of year when they really at least get the first steps of what guys did in the offseason, see how much they'll do testing, and they'll see how much stronger than they are from last year, how much faster they are, or slower or weaker, as the case may be. So we'll start to get a little nuggets here and there over the course of OTAs, but and off-season workouts. But I think they're okay with what they've got there. Dog Petter trade possibilities. Chiefs get Bain, trade 29 and the 2027 third from the Rams for T. Higgins and Bengals second rounder. Bengals clear salary and get back into the first round. Chiefs get a legit receiver. I like what you're thinking there. I have a couple of concerns, and I just want to make sure I'm not telling tales out of school here. The chief concern is going to be that the Chiefs are really in a mode where they don't want to add a ton of salary. Now, Higgins has got, it's not terrible for this year. I mean, he's got a $10.9 million base. The Bengals would be eating a certain amount. It's not a huge amount, it looks like. I mean, he's got a 26.5 salary cap this year. There's a $10 million roster bonus that for 2026, it's fully guaranteed. Those are normally paid in March, so I would assume that the Bengals have already paid that. So from the Chiefs standpoint, that would be ideal, that if they've got the 10.9. Now that $10 million roster bonus could be negotiated as far as maybe the Chiefs pick up some, the Bengals pick up some. Key problem is that even at the 10.9, it would be difficult for the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs could not fit it under their current salary cap. They would have to renegotiate some contracts. They really don't want to renegotiate Chris Jones if they can avoid it. They would prefer not to kick more of that into the future. You've got Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. They may have to tap into one of those contracts anyway. But I have had conversations with people in the front office, and what I've heard is that they're not interested in adding a veteran player that would add cap space and would add to their cap problems. And Higgins, I don't really have a huge problem with Higgins. I mean, he's 27, he's going to be 28 in January. Let's see. And I mean, his numbers, you can't really say they've fallen off. I feel like they've been steady. I mean, he had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons. He's been 9-11 and 846 the last couple of years. They've had some problems. He's been injured. He's missed some games. Burrow's missed some games. So I don't, and he's had touchdowns. So I can't really say that I've got an age concern or a production concern, anything of that nature. I probably would just have concerns that based on what he has been to this point in his career and what he's currently being paid and going to be paid, even with some of this, even with the cost that the Chiefs would have to pick up going forward, he's got for 27, 19.2, and then a 27.3 cap hit. There's a $5 million bonus next year that would bump it up. So he's basically got cap hits of 24.2 and 27.3 that the Chiefs would be picking up. Those aren't really bargains. I mean, like I said, the Bengals would have to take a little bit of a cap hit. But I don't know. And so you're saying 29 and the third for Higgins and the Bengals second. I'll be honest, Doug Petter, I'm on the fence. I think that the conclusion I think that the Chiefs would have and Brett Veach would have would be that they don't want to add the cap cost, even for a receiver like Higgins. I think they would rather, honestly, I think they would rather take a swing for the fences. And even if it meant not getting Bain at 9, if it meant getting Jordan Tyson at 9, I think they might prefer that. Circle back, get an edge at 29. I think that would be their preference because they would like to build around affordable players that they have drafted and developed. That's the first and foremost thing. So I'm iffy on it, dog. I could be convinced of it. If I'm on Brett Veach's staff, like I said, I'm on the fence. I'm probably leaning against it. I think they would lean against it just for the cap hit alone, but I'm not opposed to it. So it's anything. Kick the tires on it. Like I said, I mean the only thing that I think that I've heard that would really make me think that it wouldn't be what Brett Veach is thinking is that they're not in the mode where they want to add a high priced veteran. That they want to keep that to a minimum. They don't want to rework some contracts that they don't have to. So that could really be the only snag that I can think of. I love Faye with a super comment. Thank you. It's very kind of you to say. Appreciate you telling me to get better soon. I'm going without the hat tonight. You can probably see a little bit of my scarring is still there on the left side, but I'm getting better, so it's all good. You've heard me say Downs is possible at 9. You agree and think it would be an underestimated pick. I mean, to me, I don't know that Downs is one of the players that the Chiefs truly covet. I do think that he is one of the players that they've got as one of their first round grades. And I don't get the sense that they have a lot of first round grades. I think it's about 8 to 10 that they've got first round grades on. I think Downs is one of them. I'm pretty sure Jordan Tyson's one. I'm fairly comfortable that Ruben Bain's one. And there's others. I mean, I think David Bailey is probably one. Reese Styles are probably one as well. There might be a few others. Maybe they go up a little more than 10, but I think it's about there in that ballpark. And so you've got some that are in that ballpark you've got first round grades on that, like Downs, who are not premium positions. I think if the Chiefs were at 9, they weren't happy with any of the trades to go down, and all that was left on their board of first round picks was Caleb Downs, and no Ruben Bain, receivers, possibly a receiver. If it came down to Lemon and Downs, I think they might be tempted to take Downs. I think, and if there were no premium players that they really liked left, and Downs was still on the board, and if they thought that they could trade back and get Downs, I think they would consider it. If they wanted Downs at 9, I think they would have to take him at 9, though, because depending on what the Giants do, and maybe not even depending on what the Giants do at 5, regardless, even if the Giants go defense at 5, there's a lot of speculation that Downs is whom they would be circling at 10. So if that's the case, you would probably have to. Had another conversation earlier today where maybe that's the position that if you're the Chiefs, you want to be in. If somebody wants to get Downs, and they think the Giants are going to take them at 10, maybe 9 becomes valuable if somebody wants them. Again, other teams are going to have the same logic, which is that, do you want to give up a lot of resources for a non-premium position? That's tough. So I think it would be hard to make that case, but I like Downs. I mean, I buy into the comparisons of Tyrann Mathieu that he can be that kind of player. It's just, can you afford to do that when you've got needs at receiver and defensive line? Like I said, I'm not considering tackle at 9. I'm considering tackle at 29. But even still, I mean, if you're gonna pay $30 million guaranteed to somebody in this draft, you'd like for it to be a premium position that's going to help you out longer term. And I think that's generally going to be Brett Veach's approach to it. But we're going to find out Thursday night. But I like Downs. I think he'd be a safe pick, underestimated probably. I think you're right. But it's hard to do if there's an edge or a receiver on the board that you like, because those guys are expensive. They are pricey. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that very much. Thanks for the kind words. I think the next up was Chris. So does Vrabel survive this in New England, or is he post-draft termination? I mean, let's remember, if you take your team to a Super Bowl, you can do a lot and get away with it. I'll admit, I mean, from the PR aspect of things, I think Vrabel, too many guys with V's. I think Vrabel handled it today about as well as he possibly could have. It's not a great situation, but, he did take his time before he said anything publicly. Normally, hey, the strategy in public relations is get it out early and get it out on your own terms. At least he did that part of it. He did it. He did get things out on his own terms. Um, and it seems as though, and I don't know this for sure, it seems that, again, as we've seen in many of these cases in the NFL in some situations, sometimes it just depends on what your communications are with your employer. And if Vrabel told the Patriots that, hey, it happened, he did not come out today and say it happened. Reading between the lines, I heard it happened. That's what I heard him say. So, I mean, when he's talking about having tough conversations with his family and his wife and the team and the players, the fact that he said he wanted to talk to the team first, that he wanted to talk to the team before they were spoken to by the media, I think those were all right answers. I think he's done everything he needs to. And again, you take a team to a Super Bowl, I mean, you could probably be setting fires and trash cans in the building, and you're probably going to be okay. I can't imagine Vrabel's going anywhere. I think he's. I mean, remember who he works for too. I mean, Robert Kraft has been accused and allegedly probably done some things that, if you're just talking about on the embarrassing the NFL and the New England Patriots, it's a lot more embarrassing than anything that Mike Vrabel's been accused of. So when you just come down to accusations against the owner and the coach, the owner's been accused of a lot worse than Vrabel, in my humble opinion. Got to make sure you label sometimes these things opinions, or you get in trouble. I think he's going to be fine. I think this is going to, for him, I think it's going to get under the rug. For the media, I think it's still a topic to be discussed, and it's obviously a topic that, frankly, nobody seems to want to discuss, and it's a sticky one. I get it, but I'll say it. I mean, I do think that there is some double standards here in that sense. I'm not saying that I think that in this case that the reporter put themselves in an ideal position. I do not think that they did that. But I've also seen some other reporters who have put themselves in less than ideal situations, and nothing has really come of it. So when it comes to credibility in this business, I think we've got some work to do. But that's just my 2 cents. Chris, you had a second question. I'll hit that one real quick. What would I do to get inside information? I would probably say, it's very nice of you. I mean, I appreciate the helping me out here. It means a lot to me. I don't think I have anything else I can really give that anybody wants, Chris. And I'm not. I'll admit. I mean, here's what I think is probably the worst thing that I would ever do and have done. And I'm not going to mention a player because I don't think that that's fair or anything like this. I might have gilded the lily a little bit in talking about players, although I will say to anybody that I have ever called a special teams ace, I think that they are a special teams ace. But the worst thing I think I probably have ever done is that I might have been overly complimentary of a player whose agent, shared something with me, anything of that nature. I'll confess that's probably happened. It's not something that I intend to go out and do or anything like that. But I mean, I won't even get into it. And like I said, I don't want to embarrass the player. I want to embarrass the reporter. But I saw a guy who I think played 5 snaps once being called a special teams ace by a national reporter. And that was comical. But I'll confess, I have probably been over complimentary to a player who's either the player or the agent has said something nice, or has given me a scoop of some sort. But I'm not going to say it if I don't believe it. I will tell you that. I'm not gonna slap lipstick on a pig and tell you it's not a pig. That metaphor was going in a great direction, and I just drove it off the rails. Weston, do you think it's a legit possibility the Chiefs trade up with the Cardinals, who have 3, 34, and 65, with the Chiefs 9, 29, 74, and a 2027 pick for Arvell Reese? That is a lot of picks, but I like what you're doing there, Weston. I'm not going to get into the math of it to make it all add up. I'm going to trust you that it adds up. As long as you didn't use the Jimmy Johnson chart to put those numbers, those picks together, I will assume that it's working out. It looks like it generally is going to balance out there. I guess it depends on what the 2027 pick is. I'll be honest. I have no sense whatsoever that the Chiefs are serious about trading to 3 or 4 to get Arvell Reese. And, we're not really talking about 5 because I don't think that the Giants are trading 5. So it comes down to 3 and 4. And I mean, again, we're kind of glossing over what's going to happen at 2. The Jets. I mean, are they taking Arvell Reese or David Bailey? That seems to be the 2 most popular names. If Arvell Reese goes to the Jets at 2, I guess it's kind of a moot conversation unless you want to have the same conversation about David Bailey. But I do want to address it. We addressed this a little bit on social media, but some of you may not have been there. And it was over the weekend, so kind of quiet. And maybe you didn't even hear the discussion about I'm not even sure I want to call it a report, but it was posted out there that the Chiefs were having active talks about getting maybe pick 3 or 4 from the Cardinals or the Titans. I want to be very careful with it because I'm sure Brett Veach has talked to all 31 teams. Whether it's him, his staff, they're all working the phones. And I would imagine that in a 48-hour period, they've probably talked to just about anybody. Brett Veach is one of the best in the league when it comes to networking during the draft, finding out what other teams have, what they want, what they're looking for, what they're wanting to get rid of, what their cost is to move at any point. But I have zero reason to believe that even if the Chiefs have called the Cardinals and Titans to ask them what would be the cost to getting into the top 5, I have no reason to believe that it's something that they're actively pursuing or interested in. And honestly, I'm hearing the exact opposite, that the Chiefs are probably more likely to wait out and see what happens when you get to 6, when the Browns are on the clock. A lot of, smoke around the idea that the Cowboys are going to be wanting to move up. Cowboys are probably going for defense. Again, it depends on who's on the board at that point. But if Styles is gone, if Reese is gone, and Bailey is gone, and it's Reuben Bain, and Caleb Downs left on the board, I mean, Chiefs could possibly be interested in trying to move up. I mean, especially if you want to go, if you're talking like, the Browns are on 6 and it's the Cowboys who are moving up, and, you think the Cowboys are moving up most likely for Bain, maybe Downs, but probably Bain. If you want Bain, maybe you need to be trading with the Browns. And that I have seen, some conjecture of, at least in some mock drafts, that there's been some mocks where the Chiefs trade with the Browns for 6 to draft Bain. I can see that scenario. I don't get the sense that the Chiefs are willing to give up the price that it would be to get the 3 or 4. Weston, you may have laid it out there. Maybe the math would work on that one. It takes 2, so the Cardinals would have to be willing to give it up. I don't know if that's the case either, but I can tell you, when that was posted out there and it was frequently being cited as Jeremy Fowler, I could not find any scenario where Jeremy Fowler had said that. Either in stories that he has written or clips online. I reached out to Jeremy to ask him about it. He said that he saw the tweets and saw it going around on Twitter, and Grok was spreading it around. But he said he had no idea where it came from. He did not say it. And I still have not seen a clip of Jeremy Fowler saying it. So I think that was just a misunderstanding. I don't know exactly where it came from or how it got started, but I have no reason to believe that there's legit consideration there. Maybe it'll come together. Maybe something might happen. Maybe something will change in the next 46 hours that will make me change my mind. But at this point, I don't think that's a serious possibility. Man, Doctor Who, I wish Andy Reid was my special guest. We could kick it back in the hot tub and talk about the draft. Is it true that they're drafting the Mahomes kids? No, Doctor Who, not doing that. See, there you go. Casey Harold, Matt, you and Nick should have asked Andy if you brought sandwiches from Pigwitch. Could you sit down in the draft room with them? I think you're right. I mean, that would probably be the prize. You get some sandwiches from Pigwitch, just some real solid cheeseburgers. I don't know if I don't know if Andy would be insulted if we brought him Kansas City chili rellenos, because I know he's very particular about those, and that's like his second favorite food, I think, after cheeseburgers. But he may be a California, purist, so maybe he only wants chili rellenos from the West Coast and not from Kansas City. Although I think Kansas City chili rellenos can go to head with anybody's. So I'm not gonna hate on Kansas City Mexican food. Nope. Oh, yep, there we go. Where do you talked about? Unfortunately only have one phone, so that's my only drawback here. Uh, got two comments on Bart tonight. I love it. Uh, oh, there we go. That's where I was going to go with Jesse. All the O-line at 9 or sooner is a smokescreen, right? I'm assuming so, Jesse. I, I mean, Brett Veach has been very careful, and Andy Reid yesterday was even more careful. I mean, Andy, when any of the questions about positions in the draft, because he was asked about receivers, he was asked a little bit about edges. Offensive tackle sort of came up too, and he pretty much took all those questions and punted them into the sixth row. There was no interest on his part in dealing with anything. He mentioned no one by name. Tried to change the subjects on those as quickly as possible. Brett has at least been, I mean, I think as forthcoming as he's willing to be. I mean, he talked a little bit about the pluses and minuses of Bain and mostly the pluses of the receivers. And acknowledged O-line, but, he certainly seemed to suggest that if they were going O-line, that it would be more likely at 29 than 9, and I agree with that. I mean, remember, if you're drafting an offensive lineman at 9, it's a right tackle. You are not drafting a left tackle to come in and play in front of Josh Simmons. I mean, first of all, you ask anyone in the NFL who's a better left tackle, Josh Simmons or someone in this draft. I'm assuming that 30, 31 are going to say Josh Simmons and the other two are going to be idiots. That's probably the case. This is just, I mean, even though there's going to be some offensive tackles that go in the first round, this is just not a very deep tackle draft. Problem is there's no tackles available. You're not finding any tackles on the free agent market anymore. They just if they're healthy and available, and reasonably priced, their teams are keeping them. And even if they're not reasonably priced, their teams are holding on to them. So that's the challenge that Brett Veach has, is that he doesn't have a right tackle for 2027 and beyond. He's got 3 opportunities to find a right tackle. 1 is right now, 2 is next year in free agency, and 3 is in the 2027 draft, in which case you'd be drafting a right tackle and then starting that kid as a rookie, most likely. Not to say that there's not some other scenarios like Esapole blows up or Ethan Driscoll blows up into starting right tackle caliber and you're in fine shape, but you cannot count on free agency next year, because this year there was no talent at right tackle. I mean, Jawan Taylor honestly might have been one of the best right tackles available. He ends up signing a $5 million deal, not because of the penalty history. It's because of the injury history. I mean, that knee is not in good shape. And that's the biggest reason why the Chiefs walked on Jawan Taylor. The knee is the problem. So that's why he signed the deal that he did. There was no one. I mean, there was no high-priced, tackle on the market this year. So you can't count on getting one out of the draft next year or in free agency, and you don't know what the draft is going to be like next year. You don't know who, is going to stay in school and who's going to come out. I mean, NIL has changed a lot of that. So you're kind of in a now or never spot with getting a tackle if you need one within the next 12 months, really. And that's what the Chiefs are. So if they take one at either 29 or 40, I mean, it would make complete sense to me. I think that's about the window where if you want to get somebody who is starting caliber, you could go. But you don't have to get a right tackle at 9. You get left tackles at 9. Drafting a right tackle at 9 to me is just like overkill. So to me, I think there's one at 29. That's where I would target. You get edge, you get running back or receiver, rather, not running back, receiver. You address one of those at 9. You address the other one, and you address offensive tackle at 29 and 40, and you're on your way to having a pretty good draft to me. Jackson, what is your dream scenario of 2 players for KC to come out of the first round with? Ooh, good question. Because to me, I mean, I'm I get I was telling this to Ryan Tracy and Chris Clark earlier. I mean, I don't see myself as a prosecutor or a defense attorney in the draft. I always see myself as more of a judge. I'm just here to, say, hey, here's what makes sense to me. Here's what I think is fair. If it's a trade, here's what makes sense. Here's a smart decision. Here's maybe a more questionable one. And I feel like I'm trying to be more neutral, and I'm trying to make the judgments, and not necessarily making the cases. But that being said, to me, I'm trying to talk myself out of Jordan Tyson. I mean, that to me, this is the guy with the highest ceiling. If you're the Chiefs, I am compelled by the argument that you should probably swing big. You could, just take the safe pick. And I think the safe pick for a lot of people would say to go Carnell Tate. Maybe even the safe pick is to go Caleb Downs. Ruben Bain is a riskier pick. Jordan Tyson's a riskier pick. Mekhi Lemon is a riskier pick. The idea being that, and maybe Mansour Delane is a safer pick. I mean, these are all guys you could take at 9. But the one that has the biggest high end that most of the scouts will tell you and they feel like is Jordan Tyson. So I think I'm swinging for the fences. I'm going to go with the guy with the highest upside, the highest ceiling, and that's, to me, Tyson. 29 gets really interesting because you just don't know how the board's going to fall. And again, I mean, if I'm Brett Veach, I'm going to try and be patient, because again, if you've got 8 to 10 players that you've got a first round grade on, chances are those guys are going to be gone by 15, maybe even earlier. You could go 10 for 10 and they're all gone by 10. But you get to a point where it's like, okay, all your first round picks are gone. You're at 29. Okay, there's somebody you like that falls to 23. I mean, is there still a compelling reason to go get that player, to make the trade? Or, as Brett Veach kind of alluded to when he was talking about all these edges that they brought in, if it's between 20 and 40, is the line so thin that there's really not anyone that stands out? It's not like, hey, this is the player that you have to get. If it's a player that maybe you give in that very, very tight window between 10 to 20, and I don't know if the Chiefs have that kind of window. If it's that wide, if it's more narrow than that, I certainly get the sense that there's a lot of NFL teams, and I think the Chiefs are probably in this, and that the top 40 players are probably about 3 tiers. You have your first top tier, which, like I said, in my case, I'm going to say it's probably about 8 to 10. You probably have another, 10 players, like I said, that are in probably that second tier. And then you got maybe the last 20 players that are in a third tier. Everybody's tiers might be a little bit different size. And, there's some fluctuations. And there's going to be some players that are in one team's second tier that's in the other team's third tier. There's going to be some guys in one team's third tier that are fifth rounders on another team's board. I mean, that's just how crazy this thing gets. So, to me, if it's 29, it's going to depend a lot about who falls. Let's say, one of the more crazy ones, Jermod McCoy is a great example of that. Right now I know on Mock Draft Database, he's at number 15 on the consensus board, which means he's not going to be there at 29. Also means he probably won't be there at 23. But if Jermod McCoy started falling, I would get interested, because that's a guy that, if healthy, and if you feel like his medicals are good, and understanding is that just like Jordan Tyson, that the medicals are good, that's a guy would be, if he were healthy, the number 1 corner in this draft. So, I mean, if you got a Jermod McCoy, I don't think that Kenyon Sadiq will fall at 29, but that's where he would be value. I mean, I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's going to fall there. And then you got a bunch of, to me, tackles and edges and maybe a defensive tackle or two. If a Caden Proctor, Akeem Mesidor, another good example. I don't. I mean, I'm going to say that you've already taken a wide receiver, so I'm not going to, get into the Concepciones or Coopers or anybody like that. I'm going to say, to me, depending on who's there at 29, if somebody falls dramatically, like I said, if Gerard McCoy's at 23, I'm probably actually starting to make some phone calls. Sadiq, if he falls to 29, I would absolutely consider him. I just have some polish concerns with Kenyon Sadiq. I get the athleticism. I'm overlooking my height concerns. I just still have some polish concerns with him. I think he's got a little ways to go before he's a complete tight end, and maybe he's going to be great, but I don't know. I just still have some concerns about taking him very high. But Mesidor, Proctor, it would be on my list. Blake Miller, Clemson. Caleb Lemieux, who's actually a real right tackle, would be fine. I'm going to pass on Denzel Boston because would have taken Jordan Tyson in this scenario. Peter Woods, TJ Parker, the kid from Arizona State, who the Chiefs will probably take, and therefore I have to learn how to pronounce his name. Caden McDonald, Colton Hood. I honestly would take any of those guys at 29. I mean, I think they would be good picks. I would probably lean towards offensive tackle. And I'll be honest, I'm not super passionate about anyone there. I like pretty much all those names that I just mentioned. I mean, I would take any of them at 29. Proctor, who knows? I did a mock draft for a radio station in Pennsylvania earlier this week. Proctor was the last offensive tackle standing at 29, and I took him there. So, the mileage may vary a little bit on who's going to be available at 29, but I would say, to me, if you get dream scenario, I think the best case scenario for the Chiefs would be you get Jordan Tyson at 9, then at 29 you get an offensive tackle or an edge, whichever is the best player on your board. Corner, if it's Jermod McCoy, then I'm taking Jermod McCoy at 29. And then, whatever you didn't take at 40. If it's an edge, for sure, I think the best edge available on the board at 40 I'm taking. Maybe defensive tackle, maybe a corner. We'll see about offensive tackle. It could be that if you don't take a tackle at 29, the best ones may be gone by 40, and maybe that's a consideration that you make at 29. Again, like I said, if Jermod McCoy's on the board at 29, I'm taking him. Doesn't matter what the offensive tackle situation is. But if there's only maybe one or two offensive tackles left at 29, maybe you do that. And then you just cross your fingers and hope that maybe a Zion Young or a Malachi Lawrence, maybe a Cassius Howell falls to 40. I mean, and I kind of see 40 as being kind of the follow-up and the finish to 29. I mean, you've got 3 picks in the top 40. If you can walk away with 3 premium players from those 3 picks, I think you've had a really, really good start to the draft. So that's what I would try to shoot for. So that's my long answer. Thanks for sticking around for it. Let's see. Doctor Who. I can't shake the feeling that there's going to be some veteran additions after the draft. Do you guys like Cam Jordan or Tyreek on the way eventually? I will say there's a bit of an addendum to what we discussed earlier, which was, would the Chiefs be interested in adding a veteran? I think they would be okay with adding a veteran after the draft. And, and obviously you've got, after the draft, you have the deadline for draft pick compensation that passes too. So that's where you'll probably see some movement. I still would wait on Tyreek. I'm waiting until Tyreek to make it. And I'm not even saying it's a guarantee, but I want Tyreek to be fully healthy. I'm not doing Tyreek's rehab for him. He needs to go do that on his own. He needs to get healthy and come back. So he needs to be. I'm not signing Tyreek with, has another surgery to go, or he's got rehab and he's going to be 3 more months. I need Tyreek to come out and work out and see what he's got before I sign him. So I think that I would take some time with and wait on. And like I said, it's not even a slam dunk or a guarantee that I would sign Tyreek. Cam Jordan is interesting. Again, probably a little bit wanting too much money. And we've talked about this before. I mean, I've heard from a lot of people who say with Cam Jordan, it's the Saints or bust, that he's not really interested in playing anywhere else. Um, Not necessarily trying to hold up the Saints either, but it's like, hey, if he wanted to leave New Orleans, that he probably would have already left New Orleans. But that's just where he wants to be. Hey, if you can end up getting Cam Jordan and it's an affordable price, but again, if you draft a couple of edges, you really don't need Cam Jordan. So, and I don't think you want Cam Jordan necessarily to squeeze everything out. So, with you developing your younger players, it gets difficult there. So, it's not an easy decision, Doctor Who, but we'll wait and see. And like I said, it's a different case when you're talking about signing a free agent versus moving a draft pick for a player. There's a little bit of difference. I mean, I still think it's going to be dependent on cost. I wouldn't pay a ton of money for either one of these guys, but that's at least the different thing. You don't want to give up a pick and money to get a player. That's why the Chiefs were never in the market for a Dexter Lawrence. They weren't going to give up a first-round pick and then have to give him more money, although the Bengals didn't really give him any more money. Also didn't get any long-term security. So I'm kind of curious about how that went and how it all kind of worked out. But Mickey, if the Chiefs O-line doesn't improve this year, is Andy Heck getting the "this is Sparta" treatment? I'll admit, I mean, I kind of thought last year was going to be that moment, and it didn't happen. So it does feel a little bit like this year could be that moment. I mean, especially if the Chiefs do draft a tackle and it gives them another good piece early in the draft, then your offensive line better be top 3 in the league. And honestly, there's a possibility they'll be that if the O-line can stay healthy and stay together and be available, even with Jalen Moore starting at right tackle. Jalen Moore's not a bad player. Their interior 3 should be among the best in the league. And Kenneth Walker is obviously going to make or break that offensive line a little bit. It's entirely possible Kenneth Walker may make me feel differently about Andy Heck. I mean, and honestly, the only thing I really bothered me about the offensive line last year was just that I just didn't see anything fresh. I saw the same blocking schemes that the Chiefs have been running in the past that everybody's seen before and doesn't surprise anybody. And the only thing that you're really doing is that you're just hoping to out-execute teams in both, pass protection and run blocking. And they, as a result, were not good enough on the edges last year and pass protection. Again, I do think that some of that goes back to just being too predictable. The numbers would say that their run blocking was decent. It's just that their running backs couldn't get any yards after contact, that they were getting some holes for these guys. It's just that neither Isaiah nor Kareem had the burst to get through the hole, and Brashard Smith probably just not the experience to take advantage of those holes. So I do. I mean, I especially, like I said, if the Chiefs do add another offensive lineman early in the draft, first or second round, even third round. Well, probably let's stick to that first and second round, maybe third round too. But I mean, if they gave Andy Heck another early player, another tackle, then yeah, I mean, I expect this offensive line to go out and knock people around and blow open holes and protect Mahomes. And if they don't, then that's a problem. So this, I think, should be a make or break year for Andy Heck. But again, like I said, I thought he was on the hot seat last year, and that seat ended up being pretty darn cool. Brian, thank you so much for reminding everybody to like and subscribe. I do not do a good enough job of that. So when you or somebody like Brian reminds people to like and subscribe, I truly appreciate that. Even if you think you're subscribed, you might just double check and make sure, because I know I've talked to people who said they thought they were subscribed, but every once in a while, I think YouTube just kind of, in my case, I think it's that I fall asleep and I accidentally unsubscribe from things. So that's my problem. But thank you, Brian. I truly appreciate that. And like I said, everybody, like the video. Make sure you subscribe to Chiefs Digest on YouTube. Make sure you get all our new videos, because we're going to be having videos the rest of the week coming out all the time. So we're going to be having 41 is the Mike episodes on Thursday, Friday, most likely Sunday probably say a Sunday afternoon when it comes out. Well, Nick and I will be in recovery mode, so I doubt that we get it recorded Saturday night. But we will get it recorded Sunday morning and out. But we're going to be doing all three of those shows after all 3 days of the draft. I'll have all the interviews from the players who are selected on the Chiefs Digest and a few other things. We're going to hear from, Clark Hunt. We will hear from the newest member of the Chiefs Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. We will be hearing from Mike Bradway, who's going to be the executive behind Brett Veach's talking this year during the draft. Obviously, we'll have Brett Veach and Andy Reid speaking as well. So all of that's going to be available on Chiefs Digest. Maybe a few other things that we can find put on there, but it's going to be a busy weekend. So make sure you are subscribed so you get all the notifications. Thank you, Brian, for doing that. Charlie, with Jones turning 32 this summer, is there a need for another long-term elite pass rusher that would warrant a trade up for Reese or Bailey? Possibly. I mean, again, my only concerns about Reese and Bailey, and I think that people are right to have a legitimate concern about Reuben Bain too. Those three guys, none of them are ideal size. I get, some people are going to tell you, hey, Arvell Reese is a Micah Parsons type. And you know what? I mean, body size wise, athletics wise, he is kind of. Problem is that Ohio State never used him as a pure edge rusher. They moved him all over the place. He played a lot of different spots. So, he's a latecomer as far as a full-time starter. So he doesn't have a ton of experience. On top of that, he only played about 100 snaps on the edge last year. I mean, you can make a lot of projections off of that, but that's not, proven ability. And I'm not trying to sound like a dumper on Arvell Reese. I mean, he may very well be the next Micah Parsons. But then again, you got to be put in the right places. And I'm going to be still a little bit stuck on Joshua Uche, but the Chiefs just weren't able to find a way to squeeze him in. And he is, again, another undersized guy. Now, hey, is he on the level of Arvell Reese or Micah Parsons? No. But the Chiefs couldn't even figure out how to get him on the field. And this is a guy who racks up sacks for everybody else he's played for. Couldn't even get on the field for the Chiefs. Is that just a factor of Steve Spagnuolo's scheme, and that he's looking for bigger edge setter types? And then you're going to say, well, Reuben Bain's not that big. Reuben Bain's not that tall and long. He is big. He's about 20 pounds heavier than those other guys, and he's more size-wise, not as tall as Karlaftis, not as tall as Frank Clark. Size-wise, he's closer to those guys. Now you're talking about, when you're talking about Jones and everything like that, that's where I get a little like, okay, Jones has been an effective, obviously elite pass rusher for you, but he's been a big guy in the middle for the most part, obviously on third downs when he moves outside. Arvell Reese is not going to move around a lot. He's not Chris Jones. I mean, Chris Jones has got 30, 40 pounds on those guys. They're completely different species of edge rushers and pass rushers. So, you need both. You honestly need an interior pass rusher, and your next interior pass rusher isn't going to be Chris Jones. You just know that the next one's not going to be as good as him. You've signed Tonga to kind of come in and, be a one tech. You're hoping that Omar Norman-Lott can maybe be the future replacement to Chris Jones. He's not going to be Chris Jones. He could be really good and still not be Chris Jones. So, you need both. You need an edge rusher outside, and you need one inside. So you need a guy like Omar Norman-Lott that's a bigger, beefier guy, 295 type. That's where I think, Omar, remember, put on that weight last year, before camp, that I still don't understand how that happened. But it honestly probably ruined his season. You got to hope he's healthy this year, gets a little bit, the weight down. And maybe he can help out. We'll see when he's ready to play too. But I think you're hoping that he can be a guy that does kind of start playing for Chris and can play that 3-tech and everything and be an edge rusher inside. Then you still need to go outside. You still need to have some guys on the outside. And I mean, ideally, you'd like somebody that's going to give you more production than you've gotten from Karlaftis. It could be Karlaftis. If Karlaftis, it finally, kind of kicks in year 5, he's still a young player. So if he's the guy, great. If Ruben Bain's the guy, great. And the one thing I would say that why I like Bain for the Chiefs, probably more so than Reese or Bailey, even though, Bailey is a polished, ready to go pass rusher. Again, a little undersized, more of a 3-4 type. Reese is a 3-4 type and a little bit undersized. Even though Bain isn't as big and long as the Chiefs would like to have, he's strong and violent. And that's something those other guys aren't. And that's what, the Chiefs really need, is that they need a strong and violent edge rusher. They've got some tall guys. They just need somebody who can wreak havoc. And Bain's that guy. That's the one. I would say that he's the one for the Chiefs. But then again, I would take Jordan Tyson before Bain. But my gut tells me it's going to be one of those two for the Chiefs. Joe, do you think the Chiefs trade up to get their player? I think it's possible, but I think it would be, if they did move up, I think it's going to be a smaller move than you expect or think. I could see them going up as high as 6. I don't think they're going to go to 3 or 4. And part of that, again, is because I'm not sold that Bailey and Reese are their guy. I mean, maybe they are, and if Arizona or Tennessee is on the clock and you're here at the trade for the Chiefs, you're going to know, okay, Matt's wrong, and the Chiefs are going up and getting one of those two guys. If the Chiefs are on the clock and are trading up to 6 or 7, I've even heard 8, that the Chiefs are not opposed to moving up to 8 if they think that somebody is trying to jump in front of them. Eagles, for instance, if they're trying to jump in front of them to get Jordan Tyson, Chiefs are going to be on the phone with the Saints and saying, look, don't trade that pick without talking to us. We might be interested. So if you get some offers, let us know and let's talk about things. Like I said, I think 6 is as high as they would go. And that would be if, again, I think there's the right scenario where, maybe the Chiefs feel like they're in competition with the Cowboys for a player that they like. We'll see. But I think Brett Veach is going to try and be patient in this draft. I still think if he's going to move up in the first round, I think it's still more likely he does it at 29 than 9. Mickey, Gracie Hunt convinces Clark to fire Veach and makes you the GM. What's the first thing you buy with the big fat check? Oh man, I guess I'm getting debt free. That would probably be the boring practical thing, but there you go. If I get a little signing bonus or the first big fat check, that would be the first one. I'm buying a new house, that's for sure. I mean, nothing against my neighbors and all, but I can't live in this neighborhood as GM of the Chiefs. I mean, I need a little bit of a nicer pad and a little more breathing space. So maybe I buy Nick's house. There you go. It's got some acreage. There we go. I'm like boring and everything. But then again, I mean, house and then, decking it out with a cool office and all the electronics and everything like that, so I've got like because I'm not, I haven't been traveling on the road for the last few years. I mean, I guess I'd have to now if I'm a GM of the Chiefs, I'd have to. So not really I don't really need a place where I can watch football all day long because I'm going to be at the games every single day and I'm even on the road games. So gosh, that's kind of a bummer. I'm boring here, Mickey. It's just house and debt free. Then just start piling the money away. So then eventually I can just retire and play golf every day. So that's the dream, man. What would you do if you got the big paycheck? Jeddins, what is the chance Rice becomes a draft day trade? I can't see it, mostly again because I just don't think you can get value for Rashee Rice. If you're going to trade him, nobody's gonna give you value. I mean, could you get a 5th rounder? Maybe, but you're hoping that in a contract year that Rashee Rice is going to give you more value than anybody you're going to find in the 5th round. I mean, there's no guarantees with a 5th rounder. No guarantee with Rashee Rice either. But if he's healthy, if he's committed, contract year, Rashee Rice should take care of you this year. So I just don't think the Chiefs would get an offer that's worth it. And honestly, I mean, remember too, there's going to be a lot of NFL teams that don't want to touch Rashee Rice. So there's not going to be a bidding war of any sort, likely. You might be surprised at how few teams would be interested. I mean, and there might be some at a bargain price if they're just like, hey, Chiefs, if you want to get rid of Rashee Rice, we got a conditional 7th here, conditional 6th. You know, hey, would that work out for you? Just wouldn't be my jam. But yeah, I don't think that they would end up getting the value that they would want for Rashee Rice, even for that one contract year that he's got left. Luttra, was this about me gilding the lily? Me and my Ozarks expressions and everything like that. I guess it's kind of a euphemism, although it's kind of, I think, just like literal. But and sometimes I forget what my Ozarks euphemisms all mean and everything like that, because sometimes they're just things that my grandmother used to say. Of course, my grandmother used to say some things that just didn't make sense and had some sayings that she didn't complete all the time. So bless her heart. Doctor Who, do you foresee any draft day trades involving former Chiefs players, such as some kind of picks with the Saints, with Justin Reed included in the trade? I can't think of any. Justin Reed, obviously good player, good teammate. I mean, if some teams wanted to have some fire sales and everything like that, maybe it's possible. Generally, when the Chiefs, I know we've had some reunions and everything like that, but generally when the Chiefs walk away from a player, they've walked away unless that player ends up coming back at dirt cheap price. And that would also usually mean no trade. So I don't think they would be willing to give up a draft pick. And that's where I think the Chiefs are with even a Justin Reed. I don't think that they would give up a draft pick to reacquire him. And if he was available, then I think they would just rather not put a lot of expenses into it. But they would rather, if the Saints want to release him and they can sign him back on a veteran minimum salary, then that's the kind of reunion the Chiefs like. We are going to have a special guest who's in our green room. I didn't know if he was ready to pop in yet. And he is telling us he's ready to pop in. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud for a triumphant welcome back to the Chiefs Digest Live Q&A. It is the one and only Nick Jacobs.
Don't get used to it, Matt. Okay, don't get used.
I'm just savoring the moment.
All right, enjoy it while you can for a couple minutes.
I am savoring the moment. How are you this evening, Mr. Nick?
I'm all right. I just got done being a Hy-Vee and Lowe's, so here I am now getting more boxes and stuff like that. So.
I was wondering if that was actually a thing that people still do, because when I used to move when I was young and everything like that, you went to supermarkets and convenience stores and everything to find boxes. Do people still do that?
I don't know, Matt. I don't check around a lot of other people that are on the hunt for boxes. That's just me. But I mean, Lowe's sells them for about $2.38 or $2.38 a box. So.
If I'm not mistaken, I think your microphone may have become loose. There you go. Gotta love the feedback.
How about now?
Sounds beautiful. Professional and real microphones can be so touchy.
Yeah, it's XLR cable. It happens.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, what's on your mind this evening? Anything that's is there any beef? Anything you need to get off your chest? Anything going on? Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, this is something I didn't say on our podcast, but so if the Chiefs take another offensive tackle in the first 3 rounds, you will have an entire offensive line of first round, second round, 6th round that could have easily been a second or third rounder, Trey Smith, and then potentially another first, second, or third rounder. At what point is the offensive line going to make me proud? When is it collectively going to be one synced unit then at that point? You will have given the coach every single thing he has ever needed. You have no more excuses. You have nothing but day 1 or day 2 picks if that ends up happening yet again. So when I hear people say, hey, they may need another offensive tackle, I'm like, How many more resources you gotta put dedicate towards it to be more than middle of the road?
Well, Mickey had this exact question a little while ago, which is if the Chiefs O-line doesn't improve this year, is Andy Heck getting the "This is Sparta" treatment?
No, I don't ever believe it's going to happen at this point. I think they could have an entire offensive line of first rounders, and it's not going to happen.
I did say earlier that I thought Mike Vrabel could probably set fire to every trash can in the building for the Patriots, and he would still be their head coach. Might be the same thing with Andy Heck as the offensive line coach.
You never know till you try it out, I guess.
I mean, I imagine I could probably only set one fire in a trash can in the Chiefs facility before I was invited to no longer come back. But
yeah, well,
that number's different for everybody.
Yes, for you and I, it's completely different.
It is an unlimited number for Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, Patrick can
rightfully so.
Yes, Patrick could definitely do that.
Do you have any time for questions, Nick, or is there?
Yeah, if people want to ask you a couple of quick questions, I can understand if you're asking anything other than like top, some first rounders. I have no idea. Like people were talking to me today, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think of this guy and this guy?" I was like, "Did you just make up a name right now?" I have no idea, and they didn't. I know it's a real player that the Chiefs may take, but this will be the first year since probably mid '90s where I don't know most of what's of their names. Like I'm gonna be surprised, and in some ways that's that'll be fun and interesting for me. Like I won't know good or bad. I'll end up watching the players tape after I get done with my responsibilities, so you and I can do the podcast, and I'll give you a real raw opinion of that person right then and there. But otherwise, like I don't know, like, hey, they need this defensive tackle or that, that pass rusher, They only got the 7th guy on the board. I'm going to be honest. After the mock draft that I'm trying to do for the first round, just to try to defend my crown, I have absolutely no idea after the top 40 players, which I'm finishing up when we're done here in a little bit. I still got 8 more guys to watch, and then I'll put my mock draft together for tomorrow.
Well, and I mean, and this fits in then because, you're talking about players you have looked at and everything. Yeah. Cooge, I think it's Cooge 41. If there's one player you'd trade up for, who would it be?
I really, really, really like David Bailey from Texas Tech. Like that guy's I think he's a dynamic pass rusher. And if I watched a ton more of Arwell Reese's games from Ohio State, I would be intrigued by that guy too. Like those are just athletic difference makers that I would be really intrigued about what they could do in Kansas City. Corner wise, as you already know, like I'm really, really, really enamored. Even though it could be a risk and everything, Jermon McCoy from Tennessee. I think he's going to be later because everybody's throwing out the degenerative knee condition and all that stuff and everything. I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing with Jerry Sneedhead. What's your point? So like it, and then obviously Sadiq is a guy that I'm if I'm in the Chiefs shoes, I'm okay taking at 9, but luckily I'm not in charge of the draft, so they may disagree and other people might disagree, and I totally get it. But yeah, I would say overall, like, I mean, that's, and then I'm obviously intrigued to see where Jordan Tyson ends up. Like, I think Tyson's going to be a good receiver. Like, he's in the right system. Let's put it that way. Because if guys get to the wrong system, it doesn't matter what you do. But he's a guy that can get open on his own, and I just think he's a fun receiver the Chiefs have never had in their offense before.
Do me a favor. Convince me and explain to me why I should not be worried about David Bailey's size. I mean, he's like 6'3" and a half-ish, 251. I'm just worried that, Steve Spagnuolo had Josh Uche and couldn't figure out how to get him on the field.
I'm not going to convince you anything.
You're supposed to assuage my concerns.
Why you and I have no impact on what's actually going to happen. So like I'm not spending a lot of effort and energy on that. I'm just like, I mean, Bailey's got a high motor and he's got an elite spin move. Like his spin move like I said on the podcast, man. It's the closest thing I've seen to Khalil Mack come out of Buffalo when he was coming out of college. Like, I mean, Khalil had an insane spin move. David Bailey's got the same elite spin move. Like that, you're like, okay, that's one thing. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. But I'm like, you know, yeah, are they going to have to get his strength up and everything? Yeah, but I mean, that dude's going to cause a lot of holding penalties, like if he's used properly. So, in your thing where you're like, hey, Steve Spagnuolo may not use him properly, you know, and all that. Yeah, you're 100% right. And then that's where somebody's going to play a game called, hey, Steve, he's on the field. Okay, like he's on the field.
Just put him out there. Doesn't matter.
Put him out there. Do not care. He is your right defensive end. Chris Jones needs help. We're stopping this now, okay? We're not doing this little checklist of he's got to hit 8, 9 different things, and then he's got to file a W-2, and then, you know, do this thing, and then he's got to go to the post office and get 14 stamps before he will see the football field. Put him out there. Going to make a difference. Going to get people off the field. Going to get the ball to Patrick Mahomes. Then do it.
Can't get on the field if you don't do your GPS reports, so.
Well, that's kind of how it feels sometimes.
This seems like it'd be another question right up your alley, Nick, especially because, you know, you've been asking the guys this week about their draft nights and moments and the calls and everything.
Yeah.
What's your favorite draft moment that hit your heart the hardest?
What? Like hit
draft moment. I think he's going for like what was the most emotional? What's the one that kind of resonated, pulled the heartstrings?
I don't know if there's one that quote unquote pulls the heartstrings, but you know, when you saw Aaron Rodgers continually fall, you felt bad for him. When you see a guy each year kind of fall, I mean, like you root for Brian Branch when he had to stay there till night 2, you know, from in Kansas City. I mean, like it's just you're looking for a reason to root for somebody. And so sometimes some of those players give you that by the fact that they fall, but a lot of times they fall in a better situation if they keep dropping and everything.
I'm trying to think. You've covered more drafts than I have, so you probably have a little bit more depth of experience. I'll admit, I mean, I did get chills when the Chiefs drafted Mahomes, and you know, you're out there at the facility, and they had a big, you know, party in the training complex and everything like that. I guess they must have known what they were going to do for sure, because I mean, they were drafting at 27 and they haven't done parties like that since. I guess they knew what they were doing. But when that pick got announced and you just heard, I mean, they were shooting off fireworks. You could hear the roar from the facility, the training building, of all the people who were in there screaming and everything like that. And we were like on the opposite side of the building, you know, forever away from it. I mean, that was pretty cool. So,
yeah.
Pete Dolan, what flavor hat are you going to wear when the Chiefs sign an O-line at 9? This is mine, Mick, because I keep saying that if the Chiefs take an offensive tackle, I will eat a hat. My hat. I mean,
I already know because I've already asked Matt what it would be, so I'm already fully aware of what it is. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody.
I mean, I'm fine to go ahead and spoil it. I mean, it will definitely be a nacho hat. There is absolutely no doubt. I mean,
I wasn't going to take your thunder, bro. It's not what I'm about.
I've already found the hat. I mean, I know what it's going to be and everything like that. So I don't know if it's going to be that tasty, because you know, it seems like you order a nacho hat online, it's probably going to be a little dated. I don't know, but I'm not going to be a fool here. I'm not going to like, hey, my 41 is the Mike hat and deep fry it and try to, you know, chew it and everything like that. I mean, I'm definitely going to be eating an edible hat.
Look, I mean, I was at Betty Ray's yesterday. I tried to go by today, but that line was too long. At 7:40 at night. That was my L that I took there. But what I'm getting at, Matt, is like they make they shape the waffle bowls or cones or whatever. So I'm feeling like somebody could do that with a nacho hat, so it'll be fresh for you.
Yeah, I mean, a waffle cone hat would not be opposed. So it can be in the roster.
I'm saying they can mold it for you, bud. That's all I'm getting at.
There's options here. Let's see what else we got. If we get a few more seconds here.
I don't even know.
What did you think about Zion Young at 40?
I haven't watched him, so I mean, I know from his Missouri days. I remember watching him, and he had some big moments and everything. But I mean, like me watching him unbiasedly, how he fits the Chiefs, I haven't done that.
Fair enough.
See, guys, and this is why I don't come on the Q&A, just so you know. It's because this is what you would have got every week, and then I would have gotten the comment section. Well, why is he on the podcast? Why is he on the Q&A then if he's not going to do the prep work? And, so I didn't want to deal with all that.
Because dude doesn't have time to do the prep. Oh, my goodness. I've gotten a slew since you arrived. I've gotten a slew of super chats, and I forgot to go to them. I know. Nick, I am disappointing you just as much as I always do. Well, the only thing I can hope is that Jesus is in this list, and then I will have ignored Jesus again.
Dude, how long have I been on here now? I told you I was going to stop by for like 4 or 5 questions. I don't even know if we've gotten that question.
But these are a couple of yours are right up your alley. Gut feeling. Who's the pick at 9?
I'm just mentally bracing for. Do what?
Your thought right there is the exact same thing I'm going through. My gut is just turning.
No, I'm mentally bracing for like Ruben Bain or a cornerback or safety. I still don't like if you take an offensive tackle at 9, then what are you doing? Like what?
Well, I will be eating a nacho hat, so.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the offensive tackle from Miami. I do like him. But like he's like I've talked about before on the podcast, like if I see a guy who's got bad habits, I don't think it's getting coached out of him with the staff. So I'm like, because I've heard stories. But anyways, like I just like, so if I see a guy that's got a bad habit, I'm like, I don't think that's getting fixed here. So like I think that bad habit's going to be there until he's got a new O-line coach, and that'll be either he goes and sees Duke down in Texas, or he goes to a new offensive room on another team.
I think I can finally maybe crystallize a little bit about what I've been hearing, and at least what my gut is telling me. My gut is telling me that if you're watching and reading and looking at mock drafts that have the Chiefs taking Jordan Tyson, I think that's because we've just all been hearing Jordan Tyson, and that just seems we were the smart money thinks the Chiefs are going to go. Right. If it's somebody else at 9, and especially if it's an offensive tackle, but if it's somebody else other than Jordan Tyson at 9, I think that is just simply the person who's doing the mock draft casting what they think the Chiefs should do, not what they will do. But right. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then once Jordan Tyson came out there from Peter Schrager after Veach was on that podcast, like everybody and their mom was going to mock him to him. In fact, my mom made a mock draft with him to him. I'm kidding, she didn't. But, it's just like, it's a groupthink thing. So, like, that's the other cool thing is I haven't really looked at mock drafts for anybody, so I really don't know or care. I mean, I may look at 1 or 2 and be like, oh, okay, well, that's fun. But like it's not like because people they see these 18 like, well, he's gonna go anywhere from 1 to 6. That's what these 15 experts say. I'm like, yeah, they're all just looking at each other's papers. Like, let's be honest, that's what's happening.
Those things can certainly happen. So yeah, absolutely. I actually have an answer to this one. Nick, did you or anyone watch WrestleMania?
I watched the free stuff that was on ESPN, but then we had to go do Sunday Sound Off. So I get to watch Brock Lesnar part.
There you go. I can't believe Brock Lesnar is still wrestling. I mean,
well, dude, if the check clears, he'll stop by.
I mean, dude's gonna be in his like mid to late 40s, right?
Like they tried to make it hint like it was his final match and like a retirement match when he took his boots off and walked out of there. But I'm like, he'll be back next year if they offer another check.
Nobody ever has a final match until they die. I mean, it's just
wow, Matt. Out of all the things you could have said that, until they need a hip replacement or something.
I mean, yes, I may be focusing a little bit on the dark side of the sport, but I know someone who was actually at WrestleMania, so
that's awesome.
There you go. So little known facts. Actually, it was only 2. I forgot I had a bunch of questions that I knew I wasn't going to ask you, so I was starring them to come back to later. So I'm just not very efficient. Are you having enough fun that you would like to hang out for a couple of more?
You can ask if anybody puts "Hey Nick," just put "Hey Nick" and ask your question, And then that's how we'll do it right now. So Matt doesn't have to go sift through and find it. So you have a whopping total of less than 2 minutes because I do have stuff in my truck that I need to put in the refrigerator, and I don't think there's anything freezer related. I don't think I got anything freezer wise. Since Betty Ray's had too long of a line.
Oh, shoot.
It makes me sad in my head and heart.
It is. I will ask you my question that I have for you.
No, Matt, it doesn't count. Doesn't
since
count.
You will be.
All right, I don't see anything in the chat section.
And maybe you may not be to a point where you have enough information to consider this, but yeah,
probably
do you have a favorite for the Chiefs at 29 yet?
I'm still thinking like it's going to be a cornerback or offensive tackle. And so like there's two guys I'm wrestling with, and I'm not putting them out publicly right now because you have to wait for my mock draft, because since I actually did since
clicks,
I wasn't
baby.
Do what?
We need those clicks, baby.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just like
that's why I would be doing it. So.
No, because our mock drafts are due tomorrow before midnight for the website and everything. So I gotta have that published at a specific time so it can be part of the grading process. So like I don't want to reveal any of those, but I do have an offensive tackle and corner in mind at 29, and I do have a couple of people in mind at 9, and we'll just see how the board plays out. And by board, I mean what I pick in the 8 before. Because, like, I'll be spoiler alert. Last year, I deliberately put Josh Simmons the team before it, so I didn't have to mock him to the Chiefs. Boy, was that a mistake on my part. Because I knew I was going to get people being like, "Hey, why didn't you have Josh Simmons to the Chiefs, man? What the heck?"
Well, I know. First of all, we have a lot of high nicks. But that's before we get to the hey nicks. But that was. I know we have some hey nicks as well. But Nikki's saying hi, so.
Yeah.
Many others saying hi, so there's lots of hellos there, Nick.
Hello.
Luttrell. Hey, Nick, what do you think of Landman?
I miss it, Luttrell. That's what I do. I miss it. Yeah, no, Landman was a great show. And like I could have watched it every week. I know they can't make it every week, but I would have watched it every single week. Which is such a good show. So I'm going to end up having to watch Dutton Ranch when that comes out May 15th, and that'll be what tides me over there for a little bit. And then Marshall's, I think, is about ready to end on CBS for right now. And then I got to find some other shows because, Will Trent's on tonight. All right, I'm going to watch that here in a little bit. Then my other show, High Potential, is gone. So that's already done. That's already over with. And I don't know. I can't remember. And then I think, there's a couple other shows that are going to start up here that I'll end up checking out. But, yeah.
I keep thinking about Landman because of just oil prices now and everything. That
Landman that everybody talks about all the time. That's publishing all the time. How you got to keep oil below like 80 something or $90 a barrel.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, is it is everybody just going to be sitting around lighting their cigars with $1,000 bills or something?
Not everybody, but I mean, people that are in oil, maybe. I don't know. Do I look like I live in Texas, Matt?
I would just say that from a narrative standpoint, it seems like Billy Bob and his son just picked the right time to start an oil company.
Yeah, for sure.
Worked out well for them. Hey, Nick, Chris says, welcome back. Yeah. What do you consider
to be a good draft? He doesn't say hey anywhere in there. You put that.
Well, welcome back is the same thing.
But he didn't say hey, Matt. Okay, let's not put words in Chris's mouth. Okay.
I mean, this isn't like one of those things like at the bank where they say you get greeted with a hello, and if you don't get greeted with a hello, you get $50. He greeted you with a welcome back, so he's not getting $50.
Okay.
Wait, I think I did the wrong thing there. He's getting $50, except that's not what we're doing here. We're just asking you questions.
What are you doing, buddy? All right. So
I've officially lost my mind, Nick, before the draft.
Well, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Let's see. What do you consider to be a good draft for KC? What do you consider a good draft is players that actually see the field. So, like, I mean, if you draft 2 offensive linemen, I will be irritated. I'm going to be irritated if you draft 1 offensive lineman, but I get it if you do. If you take a premium tackle, that's fine. Okay, that's great. Go for it. But at the end of the day, you need pass rush. You need a cornerback. You need more dynamic playmakers at wide receiver or tight end. So let's maybe not mess around and find out with another 6-10 or 6-11 year, whatever record ends up going, how about you just go get the difference makers now and take some people to church?
There you go. I've gotten no comments, no notes. Daniel, hey, Nick, how many D linemen should the Chiefs draft?
Hey, if they want to get 2, I'm good with it. Get yourself a defensive tackle, get yourself a defensive end, and let's move on about our day.
I honestly wouldn't have an issue with 3.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Honestly, I mean, that's how badly the Chiefs. I've said from the very beginning the Chiefs need 4 or 5 new defensive linemen this year, and so far they've signed 1. So they got some more work to do. Chris, same question for Nick. What would he do to get insider information?
Absolutely nothing. You either respect me enough to fill me in or you don't. Like, I'm not. I understand what that question's about, and I get it. But I'm gonna say this now. My milkshake doesn't bring all the unsent information to the yard. But anyways,
I mean, I suppose I could make my no-bake cookies for somebody and see if that could get some inside information, but
yeah.
Well, I also have nothing that anybody wants for inside information, so
not with that attitude.
All right, Nick, last question from Kevin. Hola, will you 2 be live during the draft on Thursday and Friday night?
I will not, because I will be doing our special on KSHB 41 called On the Clock. Mick Schaefer will be hosting that. I'm putting that together tomorrow. And then Mackenzie Nelson and Matt Foster are live from Pittsburgh tonight they were, and then they will be tomorrow. So you can watch them. I want to say they're doing stuff at 4, 5, 6, and 10 tomorrow, and then they will be on the draft shows that we do Thursday. So I mean, they'll be in the 4. I think they're in the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They'll be in the 6:30 that I'll do, and then they'll be in the 10 o'clock, and then they'll be in the streaming show I do at 10:35 to 11ish, and then I think they're doing stuff for the morning show too. So they'll have stuff at 5 and 6 in the morning tomorrow, I think, and then again the next day, and then the next day. So, yeah, I'm doing my actual TV job that pays my health insurance. So Kevin, I appreciate you wanting to hear from me, but I have to, I don't, as Matt knows, I don't get to actually go out to the facility anymore, and I miss that dearly because I enjoyed being out there on draft nights. It was the funnest thing in the world. But instead, I'm in my studio cage. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, because somebody has to manage all the action and make sure all the magic takes place.
Yep. TV magic, man. What can I say?
I every year I almost threaten to do some live videos and everything like that. It always ends up being a disaster, mostly because I can't find a good place to do a live hit from anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's going to be harder now with some of the security changes in the building, so that's even more of a struggle. If I have time and can squeeze it in, especially on Thursday night between the picks, that would probably be ideal. But like I said, it's difficult to commit to because I'm trying to make sure that I've got I already have one camera location set up anyway for the podium.
Yeah.
And I think about the only place that I can do a live hit would be to go into the back room where the food is, and everybody is sitting back there and doing their own thing. So I would just be intruding anywhere.
And you're gonna have a nice food. They're gonna have some classy food tomorrow, especially if Clark's there.
Oh yeah, I mean the Chiefs do draft first class.
Yeah, dude. The food they have, man, that's another thing I missed. Now you brought it up. Is the quality of food they have there?
I know it's the last thing that some people want to hear about, but it is the highlight of our jobs is draft week and food. So,
well, thanks for that, Matt. I'm glad you can end.
Are you sure you can't swing by a break? I mean, because your draft show ends at what, 7?
6:58, 04, 6:58, 30 typically, depending on the break structure.
You got 2 hours until you have to do anything else?
No, because I'm having to stack the next show immediately as soon as I get back down there.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, that old chestnut. And then I gotta do the zooms if the zooms are going on at that point and record those and cut bites for those. So
We need to figure out how to get you like a delivery over there, some food, something.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you, Matt.
Don't know. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us for a little bit. I appreciate that greatly. I do not want your groceries to get all warm and eaten or anything. So
I don't know they're gonna eat, and nobody else here. But unless the mice, the mice are hot in the garage or something. But anyways, it's been a pleasure. I wish you all the best. Until next time, bye bye.
thank you, Nick, so much. I truly appreciate Nick swinging by. I'm going to finish up. We still have some more questions left that I know Nick wasn't going to have time for. So we'll dive into those and finish them up. Last call, if anybody else, we do have a few more. So no big rush, but if you've got any other questions that you want to get in before we wrap things up tonight, fire away. Yeah, I saw the Brock and Lesnar's last match allegedly. That's everything's always allegedly. So, yeah, Christmas Miracle Luttrell. Yeah, I do hope that Nick, once things slow down and everything like that, he'll be able to pop in on the live Q&As a little bit more. So we'll just cross our fingers. But it was great to see you on the show tonight. Truly appreciate Nick coming by. He is the best. John P., if the pass rushing trio is gone at 9, do you think it'd be likely the Chiefs move back into the teens and draft an offensive tackle like Proctor? That's an interesting scenario. I mean, and, you know, I mean, obviously, like you said, it doesn't have to be Proctor. It could be anyone. I guess I haven't really given a lot of thought to how I would feel and what the thought process would be if the Chiefs traded out of 9 and took an offensive tackle in the teens. I mean, there's a layer there. You know, there's going to be some tackles, and Proctor's an interesting one. I mean, like I mentioned, I got Proctor in a mock draft done with other reporters across the country with this radio station in Pennsylvania. I got him at 29 in a mock draft earlier this week. There are some places that, I mean, he is one of the more polarizing players in this draft. There's a bunch of them. I mean, we were talking about Jermod McCoy. He's one of them. I mean, even Jordan Tyson can be a polarizing player. I've seen him going in mock drafts from 3 all the way to like 25. So Proctor's another one of them. You wouldn't, I mean, you could probably trade back a little bit and still get Proctor, or like you said, a guy like Proctor. If that was your thought process, if you're Brett Veach, you know, if you want to, you know, slide back, what I wonder, and I do feel like it's the sticking point there, is that if the pass rushing trio is gone, let's say Jordan Tyson's gone too. Let's just assume that the Chiefs are not interested in the other 2 receivers. I mean, that those may be very well just, you know, fallback positions as well, or maybe there's one of those that we're getting smoke screened, and one of those guys is a player that Brett Veach likes even better. I wonder if the scenario is at 9, you trade back and take an offensive tackle like Proctor a little bit later, or any of the other offensive tackles. I mean, there's an entirely likely scenario where even Francis Maui Noah falls into the teens. So there's different scenarios there. But do you stay at 9 and take somebody, if like Caleb Downs is available or Sonny Styles is available? Do you take them at 9, or do you fall back into the teens and get a premium position like an offensive tackle? And then at 29, maybe move up from 29 to get an edge that you like, or a receiver. I mean, again, I think if you did that scenario, making sure you got an edge at 29 is probably a little bit more of a deal, unless, like I said, unless a receiver falls, like Tyson falls, and is available a little bit later. But it does create some interesting scenarios there. I can't say for sure what I think the Chiefs would do there. There's part of me that does have a suspicion that if those were the choices, like falling back to get Proctor into the teens or take somebody like Caleb Downs at 9, I think they might take Caleb Downs at 9. I don't think it would be their first choice. I think it would have, like I said, be a fallback position. But I think, you know, Downs is just that much of an impact player that they feel like is a guaranteed star. And it's just because he's at a non-premium position. It's not an ideal pick, but it's been done before. I think it would have to be an extraordinary situation where the Chiefs would and where Veach would go with a non-premium spot. But you bring up a good scenario. One I had not really considered that much, that the Chiefs could fall back into the teens and get a tackle. That's intriguing. Like I said, I don't know if it'll be their first choice, but I am sure there's a really reasonable chance that they've game planned through that. So I'll have to check and see, John, and see if I can't see if I can't find anybody who will tell me whether that's something that they've considered or not. We can certainly talk about it on Thursday with Brett, depending on what happens in the draft. Jason, maybe the offensive line talk is because they think Simmons is a head case. Is that so hard to believe? It's not. I mean, that's definitely a concern that you have to have. Now, I know that the Chiefs feel that they're in pretty good position as far as Josh Simmons, that they feel like that he's made progress, that he's in a better space, that there's a certain amount of confidence. They're not going to have a repeat of what happened last year, but you can't guarantee that. I mean, you don't know that for sure, and you don't know what goes through and goes on with people and their personal situations and their families. So, and we don't really know the nature of the situation last year, so it's very difficult for us to estimate or project the likelihood of it repeating again. With the information that we have, we're more likely to believe that it could happen again. The Chiefs certainly present the notion that they have a view that it's not likely to repeat. So, but that said, I mean, the Chiefs are making it very, very clear that if they take a tackle in the first round, that it's a right tackle. And, is there a undercurrent to the fact that it would be an emergency left tackle situation, that a player who could flip over to the left if they had to play without Josh Simmons, either for injury or other reasons? Yeah, but then again, I mean, the Chiefs are also trying to send the message to Josh Simmons that they're not trying to replace him. That is a concern that they have, is that they don't want that to Josh feel that message that they're trying to draft over him. So they want to make it very clear. I mean, I would be very, very surprised if the first words out of Brett Veach and Andy Reid's mouth when they take to the podium, if they take an offensive tackle on night one or night two, is not just say, hey, this is our right tackle of the future. We love Josh at left tackle. He's going to be great. And this guy's going to be on the right side one day whether, Jalen Moore this year or not, that he's going to be on the right side. Everything's going to be great. That's, but that is the logic. I mean, it absolutely is. And that's why like I said, a lot of national draft prognosticators that look at this team from a 30,000 foot view, that's why they're projecting an offensive tackle to the Chiefs at 9, because they think that there's a reasonable chance that Simmons could have issues, and that's why the Chiefs would want someone to replace him. And there's some of them that have even said that they think the Chiefs are going to move him to right tackle. I have not heard anyone in this organization even suggest that they're even pondering the idea. Josh Simmons is their left tackle until he's not. So, I mean, you make a very valid point, Jason. I can't argue with it, because based on the information we have, it's very easy to believe. And that could very well be part of the Chiefs' thinking, is that they're going to draft a right tackle, and hey, if the guy has to play on the left side, well, you're prepared. Tyler, what would be more likely between these two options? Selecting an offensive lineman at 9, trading up to 3 for a premier pass rusher they like. Both unlikely, in my opinion, but which one would you favor if you had to pick? I'm probably with you. I think that, I do think that both are unlikely. I think that I would say I think it's more likely that they trade up for a premier pass rusher than take an O-lineman at 9. I'm in the ballpark of like O-lineman at 9 is like 1%, maybe less than 1%. I just don't think it's very likely. Whereas moving up, even be more liberal. I mean, even moving into the top 6 for an edge rusher, I think is more likely than an offensive lineman. And turning into the top 3, that's going to be more narrow for sure. But yeah, I think it would be more likely than taking an O-lineman. Now, is it 10%? Maybe not that high. It's probably still in the single digits, but Yeah, I could see that. I mean, and like I said, I think that's part of it just because I think it's just so unlikely that they would take an offensive lineman at 9. But I could see the argument for trading up to get an edge rusher and get the one that you want in particular. Jason, it's always good to be Andy's buddy, i.e. Andy Heck. Matt, you're the best, but your optimism for 26th season reeks of homerism. So many holes, injured quarterback, brutal schedule. Why, Matt? Why? And I'm assuming Jason here, and feel free if I'm mischaracterizing it. I think is it just because I'm downplaying and poo-pooing a little bit selecting an offensive tackle? I mean, I'll admit, I mean, I'm bullish on this team. I do think that they're going to bounce back this year. I get the quarterback injured. I get the difficult schedule. I get the holes. I probably do come from the idea that I'm not as sure that there's as many holes as people think that there are. Um, I think there's some holes. I think they're actually going to be better through subtraction in a couple of places, but that's a bold take. I will agree there too. I think this is going to be a better team. I think, and this is another thing I was looking through today that I don't know if we just talk about this team as much. You know, talking about what went wrong in 26, injuries were horrific on this team. I mean, it wasn't just Mahomes. I mean, it started long before that. And, you know, and even the fact that even guys who played through their injuries, you know, Nick Bolton was talking today about the fact that, you know, he kind of did a lot of rehab this offseason for some lingering injuries, things from the seasons, things from seasons past. Last year, going back and looking at it, you know, he was on the injury report with a rib injury. And I think at one point, when people were thinking he might have even had some broken ribs, I think in that scenario. He was on with a calf injury, a knee injury, and a biceps injury. I mean, he played all 17 games, but the dude was never healthy. Same thing with, you know, Xavier Worthy. I mean, he played through that shoulder injury. I don't know if he was ever any better than 70 or 80% max. He was hurt. So, and like I said, I mean, I'm not like 14-3 optimistic. I think this team is, I mean, I'm feeling like it's an 11-6 team. Could win the AFC. That could win the AFC West. Maybe they would need to get a little bit lucky and win some games. They had some bad luck last year. I do think they're going to be better. I mean, I admit it has nothing to do with Andy Heck. I mean, I don't know if I've never been described as being Andy Heck's buddy. I don't wish him any ill will or anything like that. I just think that the offensive line has underperformed and needs to be better. I just don't know what more that they can do, dude. I mean, they've got a first round pick, and like Nick said, I mean, they've kind of explained they've got a first round pick at left tackle, they got a second round pick at left guard, they've got a second round pick at center, they got a sixth round pick that was just an injury related reason why he wasn't a second or third pick, and Trey Smith. You know, and if they took a tackle in the first round, you'd have a first round tackle at right tackle. I mean, if you're not just, like I said, I mean, I'll steal Nick's term of taking people to church. That's Andy Heck's fault. I mean, that offensive line should absolutely be destroying people. And if they're not, it's a serious problem. And yeah, I mean, I would bring Andy Reid into it too. I mean, if that offensive line doesn't perform, it's both Andy's problems. So hey, you can feel free to be critical. And you could be right. I mean, about my optimism. I mean, like I said, I'm not thinking that this is a 14-3 team. I think it can be I think this team can win the AFC West. I think they can return to their level. Now, that's going to be dependent a lot on the health of Mahomes. That's going to be number one. And it's going to be a lot on the health of this team. They cannot have the same injuries that they had last year. Those injuries were brutal. Pano, Tyson, Matt, you can't be serious. Tyson is made of glass. Why would you? I mean, I get it now, and this is the counterpoint that talking to people in the Chiefs organization will make. And one is, hey, ACLs happen. You know, okay, he had that. He's bounced back. He's gotten it better. The hamstring, okay, yep. I mean, those can sometimes linger. Based on all the evidence, though, I mean, it appears that he has recovered fully from the hamstring. Um, his workout went well. It looks like he may have done some 30 visits. Those have been kind of mum a little bit, but it sounds like he may have done some 30 visits with some teams, and those worked out well. The teams have seen the medicals, and they're comfortable with all of it. They're comfortable with the knee and the recovery. And remember, he had a big year coming back from the knee injury. He even with the hamstring, I mean, he tears his hamstring in that game against Texas Tech and goes out and gets the game-winning touchdown coming back into the game. I mean, probably should not have played, but the dude was tough enough to go back out there and get the game-winning touchdown on a torn hamstring. That gives, I think, some kudos there. I'm trying to remember the third. There was a third injury, right? And I'm trying to remember if that was that a sprain? I'm trying to remember the other injury that he had. Oh, it was the shoulder. He had the shoulder injury, the clavicle injury. And again, I mean, those are not typically repeat type injuries. I mean, those are fluke injuries. They can be problematic. They can last you. I mean, you saw what happened with Xavier Worthy last year. Tyreek Hill had a similar type injury, Hollywood Brown. But you don't normally repeat those. It looks like he's just had a lot of bad luck. And that's what the Chiefs would say, and have, behind the scenes, their push and their argument for Tyson rather, is, hey, this guy, he's had these things. He's come back from every single one of them. They're probably all, to a certain degree, bad luck injuries, but you look at the medicals, and the medicals all say dude's going to be okay. These are the same people that were saying the same thing about Josh Simmons last year, when everybody else was worried about Josh Simmons, and Rick Burkholder and that medical staff, their surgeons, everybody who looked at Josh Simmons said, this guy's okay. He's not going to be a recurring injury problem. The patella is fixed. It's repaired. It looks really, really good. You should get this guy. And I mean, that's the best I've seen any player look after a patella injury last year. So that's why, Pano, that's why I'm sold on Tyson, and why I don't think that the injuries are going to be a problem. Now, hey, everybody's different. I mean, and our guys made of glass? Maybe some of them are. The guys that I'm worried about that are made of glass are the guys who don't do what Tyson did. The fact that he tears his hamstring and goes back into a game, that says something about the guy's toughness. And so, I mean, that I think you have to like. It's just like, and to me, Xavier Worthy is the same way. I mean, Xavier Worthy, there are a lot of guys that I don't think would have finished the season last year. I think that they probably would have been shut down. We haven't really heard if Xavier underwent any surgery during the offseason. I think it's likely that he did. I mean, we saw him in a brace at one point that certainly suggested he probably did have surgery. So, I mean, I'm encouraged when guys play through those injuries. I think that says more about their toughness. To me, they're made of glass when they go out and they don't come back, and they can't come back, and they continue to get hurt, and it's minor little things that are keeping them out. I mean, dude, with Tyson, a torn hamstring didn't even keep him out of trying to win a ball game. So I get it, but I know that the Chiefs, like I said, they're comfortable with the medicals, and if they take him, that's going to be why. They don't think that the injuries are history. It's been bad luck to have 3 injuries like that, but they're comfortable that if he can stay healthy, he's not going to have anything recur, and he's going to be okay. Daniel, how involved do you think the Chiefs will be in the undrafted free agents market? That's a good question, because, I mean, they're going to have some numbers. I'm trying to remember the exact number right now that they've got. And obviously, in theory, they're going to add 9 draft picks, could be plus 1 or 2, more than likely. The interesting thing, Daniel, is that, this goes back to my question with Brett last week about how they use their 30 visits. They've only really contacted and done some 30 visits and medicals on a handful of non-combine guys that, are usually their bread and butter. I mean, in most years, their 30 visits, maybe 10 to 15 of them are going to be non-combine players and late round players, undrafted free agents that they want to come in and get medicals on, and kind of already establish and have a touch with those guys and have that. They have focused so much this year on 9 and 29 and the edge rushers they've only brought in a handful of those non-combine invites. So, I mean, they're still going to be involved, but they're going to be going up against teams that have probably had more touches with these players. And again, in a lot of these cases, hey, money can talk. Like last year with Jake Breeningstool, they were probably not going to get Jake Breeningstool. They just finally, made sure that they guaranteed him enough money that they were going to get Jake Breeningstool. Guaranteed money for undrafted free agents is, kind of, I mean, that's what talks. So you can overcome it, and it's not a huge amount. So if you have to spread, a few $100,000 and $1 million of bonus money around some players to get them as undrafted free agents, you can do that. So I think they'll be as involved as they usually are. Question will be is the quality going to be as deep as it has been in the past, because they've usually done really well with that, because they hit those guys hard during the lead up to the draft. So once honestly, once you're in the 6th round, they're already reaching out to players and their agents and saying, hey, if you don't get drafted, we want you. Don't sign anywhere until you talk to us, because we want you. They're still going to be doing that. It's just the question I think is going to be is, are they going to be kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit, because some of the guys that they're going to want have already had a lot of contact with some other teams and might be comfortable with other teams. Doctor Who, you don't have to say it, but will we see you pop up anywhere on Thursday night, like Locked On, RGR, or the radio? I have not. We kind of just very briefly discussed it on Locked On Chiefs today. I think I am going to be popping on with Ryan and or Chris at some point on Thursday, maybe Friday and Saturday too. We usually try to squeeze it in there somewhere. Again, my tough thing is, on Thursday night is just trying to find some space in the media workroom where I can do some of those things without disturbing other people. If I can do that, I'll definitely pop on. Sometimes not live. Occasionally on Lockdown, I'll do their wrapping kind of post draft night show. So popped on occasionally there. Looks like I'm probably going to have a segment or two on Sports Radio 810 Thursday night, maybe Friday night, depending on their coverage. But certainly it sounds like Thursday night during the first round. We'll pop on there and talk with Seren Petro time or two. So yeah, Dr. Hill, I'll try to make all the stops and everything. And then, like I said, Nick and I we'll have our podcast, and 41 is the Mike episodes that we're recording probably post midnight on Thursday and Friday. Sunday, probably our normal Sunday morning record time. So you'll get that probably Sunday afternoon, hopefully. The other shows on Friday and Saturday night or Thursday and Friday night that we record, you should have those in your stream by the time you wake up in the morning, or maybe you'll still get it then, depending on how late you're up on Thursday and Friday nights. But I will be popping up a few places. So always a lot of fun talking a draft with everybody. Alicia, are the Bengals going to be a problem this year? If they can stay healthy, Alicia, I mean, they can be a problem. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's a very talented team. I still have, I mean, obviously the drafts can have an impact. We'll see what they get out of this draft. They've already given up the first round pick for Dexter Lawrence. So that's already kind of taken them one spot. I'm looking here to see if there's because the only thing really concerns me about the Bengals is defensively. Offensively, they've got the pieces. As long as they're healthy, as long as Joe Burrow's healthy, as long as they've got Chase, as long as they got T. Higgins, and as long as they can protect Joe Burrow a little bit, their offense is going to be fine. I'll be interested to see if they, continue to try and bulk up that offensive line a little bit, but they've tried to bring in some veterans, and they still have Orlando Brown over there, so we'll see what they can do. Defensively, they've lost some guys, so they've got some holes to fill. The pass rush that Dexter Lawrence brings in should certainly help. It should certainly make their secondary better. I think the Bengals are going to bounce back. I mean, the question to me is going to be do the Bengals, do they and the Chiefs both bounce back as successfully? Do these teams, both these teams, just all of a sudden go back to being division champion caliber teams? I think the Bengals could. Again, I think that for them, Defensively, it's going to be what it takes. Can they reinforce that defense? Can they add some other pieces around Dexter Lawrence in the draft that's going to make them better? I mean, Dexter Lawrence, they're hoping is going to be one of those force multipliers that he's just going to make everybody around them better. And in theory, he should. I have some worries about Dexter Lawrence and some of his numbers the last couple of seasons, but you know, the Giants are not the Bengals, so maybe that atmosphere, maybe the situation will get a little bit more out of Dexter than he's had the last couple of years. Jackson, any players on the Chiefs that you think are on the trading block on draft day? That's a really good question. Especially as far as maybe some players that either the Chiefs have let teams know are available or team players that might get inquired about. The one that still makes the most sense to me, I doubt would get moved, but it's Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Unfortunately, he's coming off that injury. I don't know for certain how close to 100% that he is, if he's ready to completely take part in OTAs, if he's going to need to wait until training camp. I mean, I think for both the team's sake and for Felix's sake, I think he could just use a change of scenery. Not that he's not a bad player. I just think that he probably could use a defense that fits his skill sets better. I think a change of scenery where maybe he doesn't have the pressure of being the hometown kid and the first round draft pick. I just think he could really benefit from that. But when you're hurt, I mean, that hurts your value. So I mean, the Chiefs don't want to give him away for free necessarily. But it's just how much do they believe that he can be healthy and contribute this year? If not, then I mean, maybe it is worth, because I don't know if he's going to fit on this team. I mean, we talk about the numbers and everything like this, and I don't know where he's at and if he is going to be healthy and productive enough and enough of a contributor to this team to make the roster. So even at that point, maybe, and maybe that becomes something that's more of the draft or more of training camp. That you get him on the field and he gets to play in a preseason game, and hey, if it gets close to the roster cut down deadline and a team wants to take a chance on him, that's maybe your better trade window. But I do think that Felix one of those guys who could benefit from that. Others, I'm not sure there's anybody that's really jumping out to me that's going to be on the trade market. If anything, I mean, I think that the Chiefs might be a team that's looking for some guys. They're always on the lookout, to try and pick up some talent and draft. And like I said, I certainly get the sense that the Chiefs are not interested themselves in trading any of or trading for another team's players. But you asked the right question, which is, are the Chiefs interested in shopping any of their own guys? And, one guy that probably jumps out a little bit is Wanye Morris. The Chiefs, they don't exactly have like an overabundance of tackles, but they've got a fair number. And, they got Esapale, they got Ethan Driscoll, coming back from a medical issue. They got Chu Godric, who's still a developmental player, but got his first playing time last year. I mean, Wanye could be the odd man out. He almost was the odd man out last year, and that could be a guy that he's got NFL tackle experience. I mean, there are going to be some teams, especially if some injuries hit, that Wanye would be attractive to some teams. I mean, there's going to be some teams, they get an injury, and Wanye Morris would be one of their starting tackles. So that might be a guy, maybe it's too early, maybe later on in training camp, once injuries pop up, maybe that becomes a possibility. I could also see a team that just needs a swing tackle and wants a veteran and doesn't want to worry about a rookie, or maybe the first round they missed out on the guy they want. And so now they're like, hey, if we got a chance to maybe pick up a guy, I think Wanye is another guy who could benefit from a change of scenery. Not a bad player, but right now is in a backup role. And I think that once again, I mean, there's some teams that might think that they can use him and use him in a better way. I think those are the ones that stand out to me the most. Maybe there's going to be somebody else that's going to pop in there as part of a trade for a pick or something. We've seen those before. I mean, I remember when the Chiefs weren't really shopping James O'Shaughnessy, but the Patriots wanted him and made that trade with the Patriots. Those things can pop up. So, it doesn't have to be big superstars, anything like that. But those are probably the guys that I think would be the most interesting to some other teams that would have some value and some upside. Because I think there's some teams that certainly think that those guys would fit their schemes or be upgrades even, like with the case of Wanya over what they have now. And let's face it, the Chiefs aren't going to be holding a ransom for them. So I think they could be a good deal for somebody. Pano worries about Bailey and Bain's size is nothing compared to Tyson's concerns. Injury prone and didn't play top college competition. Arizona State is hardly competition. We got to play in the Big 12. I mean, Big 12's. I'd feel better about the Big 12 than the Pac, but and Pano, here's the thing. I mean, I think you and I would agree on this point. And this is what I was talking about, and I guess I'm probably running my conversations together here because I think I was talking with Locked On Chiefs about this. You can pick apart, and you can absolutely just demolish any player in the top 20 in this year's draft. There is no one without fleas. There is no one without flags of some sort. They could be flashing red flags. They could be beige flags. There's probably a few, at least even green flags out there for some of these guys, but everybody's got a problem. There is no perfect prospect in this year's draft. It is, yes, as was noted in the comments, it's a unique draft. It's not a great draft, but everybody that's going to go in the top 20, I could have some complaints about. The only one that I might not have complaints about, I would probably have the fewest complaints about Caleb Downs. I might have the fewest about Jeremiah Love, although I might have some competition concerns about Love too, because they played a lot of bad teams. Notre Dame has with their schedule and with the ACC schedule, so there's some rough competition in there. It's probably a lot worse than what Arizona State played, but again, Bain's got some serious, obviously size concerns. Bailey and Reese have size concerns for a 4-3 defense. I don't, if you're having a 3-4, I think those guys are absolutely your dream players. Even another guy like Sonny Styles doesn't have a ton of flags, but, one of my flags would be that his production was okay. Lil Chanel put up better numbers in college than Sonny Styles did. And, that's the thing. I mean, again, situations, teams, I mean, he was maybe asked to do different things. Leo was the do everything for Wisconsin. So that's maybe your explanation there. But again, I think there's only maybe a couple of prospects at the top of this draft that are complaint free. I mean, most of them have a glaring issue or some sort. I mean, that's just the nature of this year's draft. And that's why it makes it frustrating, I'm sure, for NFL GMs and a little just questionable. I mean, like I said, Brett Veach keeps saying it's interesting, which I still think is a pseudonym for terrible, but we'll see. But I don't think we disagree too much here, Pano. I mean, the fact that I think all these guys have some concerns. Tyson's concern are injury. For certain. I don't have as many competition concerns. I mean, I'm more, the injuries are the concern. But like I said, I mean, you do your homework. And if the Chiefs take Jordan Tyson, they are telling you that they are 100% okay with his injury history, that they've looked at the medicals and they're okay with it. And we're not getting to see their medicals, so we can only go on their judgment. And right now, they've been in a situation where they've been making good decisions on medicals the last few years. So I think you give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. At least I do. Let's see. I think we may have just a couple more here. Maybe just one more. AZ Chief, you get the honor of the last question tonight. Would you trade 40 for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Whew. That's an interesting one. And just because, I mean, I have been a Marvin Harrison Jr. fan. He has struggled. Just looking at numbers and where he's been and everything. A little bit of a head case. Man. Here's the thing: if I have already drafted a wide receiver, I don't think I do. I might be tempted. I really might be tempted if I've taken an edge rusher at 9 and I've taken an offensive tackle at 29. I might be tempted to go for Marvin Harrison for 40. I mean, I would try to get something back. But, I mean, Arizona's not going to give him away for free. I do have some, head case concerns and everything like that might be an issue, but man, that's an interesting suggestion, AZ Chief. I might be interested. It's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a thinker for me. I mean, usually, like I said, I mean, I obviously, I know I can probably be I say I'm the judge. I can probably be a little judgmental at times. But that's a that's a tricky one. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's really the only thing I have a problem with is just it seems like he's been a little bit of a head case. And as Brett Veach said last week, and you should always remember, and this is what I would usually say too, is that you're not going to change guys. If he's been a head case, you're probably not going to fix him. And there's some guys in this year's draft that have been some head cases in college. And I mean, I know I had some foot injuries last year, but and he had the appendectomy. Um, I don't think that foot injury at the end of the season, I don't think it was serious. I mean, I don't recall that it was like there was surgery required or anything like that. Um, but that would be my only concern, would just be, if there's anything medically that I don't know that's popping up and everything. I would consider it, AZ Chief. I would consider it. I don't know if I can pull the trigger right here, and like I said, if I've already drafted a wide receiver, I'm probably passing. Because now you just have, once again, I think you're getting to be too many numbers. I'm bullish on Rashee Rice, that he's going to have a good contract year if he's healthy. Xavier Worthy, I think, is going to have a good bounce back year if he's healthy. I know that if they're healthy, these are big ones. Um, I'm, I think Tyquan Thornton is going to be a fine receiver if, given the opportunity, is healthy. I mean, he can be a 500, 600-yard guy. I've got no issues there. I don't know what Jalen Royals is going to be, but, then you're going to draft, if you drafted a wide receiver, if you like this, if you drafted Tyson or somebody else at 9, then I think you got room for one more receiver. I don't think you have room for 2 more. So I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't be I mean, I think you got room for 1. Like I said, I don't think I would add a receiver at 9 and Marvin Harrison. I mean, that's essentially, spending 2 picks. And again, you go back to, I mean, Brett Veach did. I would say, I think that they're not. I think he would absolutely say that he doesn't want to add any players that's going to cost him a draft pick. So that might be the only reason to turn it down, is that. But at the same time, he's not super pricey. The Cardinals would have to eat a little bit of that rookie contract, probably going to eat more of the rookie contract that you're going to pick up. You got 2 years of team control, potentially 3. I think I'd be okay with that, but it's all up to whether or not you think you can handle the cap. You're okay with losing the draft pick. Yeah, I'm on the fence, AZ Chief, but leaning towards a yes in the right situation, the right circumstance. It's an interesting one. The Joe, you now get the last comment tonight. Down's the only player in the draft with the least questionable concerns about their talent. Um, a little complicated, but I know exactly where you're going. Yes. I mean, I would probably put it and say, like, he's got the highest floor of anyone that's at the top of the draft. I mean, the general consensus is that even if he doesn't live up to his expectations, that he's going to be a really good safety. It's going to be a starter that can do a lot of things for you. He is not, what would be maybe suitable and helpful for the Chiefs, is that he's not a free safety. He's a strong safety. He's somebody who's going to be playing closer to the line of scrimmage, playing in the box a lot more. He's a tough guy. Alohi Gilman is going to be more of your free safety on the back end. So those two would pair together well. I mean, then you still got Shamari Connor, that obviously is probably going to be your slot guy unless Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember how to pronounce Kohu's name from the free agent from Miami. If he's healthy, he can be a slot guy too. I mean, you might, and then you got to figure out what Jaden Hicks is. I mean, it's maybe it's a little bit of, and honestly, if you draft Caleb Downs, maybe one of your safeties becomes expendable, and that's somebody that you're shopping during the draft. I could certainly see that happening. So, um, yeah, I would, I mean, yes, I flat out agree. I think Caleb Downs is the one guy that you don't have. There's not a lot of red flags, none that I know of. You feel like he's got the highest floor of anyone, and he's got a really high ceiling too. It's just that he plays a position that, I mean, you could go out next year and sign the best safety on the market for $30 million guaranteed, and that's exactly what you're going to be paying the guy that you take at 9. Whereas you could take a guy at 9 that's a defensive end, and if or a wide receiver, and if they end up being your number one, if they're your best pass rusher, if they're your best wide receiver, you're paying them $30 million guaranteed. When on the open market, they'd be making $30 million a year. So it's the economics of it. I missed one more. So Dan, you get to write us out of here. Any word on Snead or Hill? Very, very quiet. I haven't seen any indication that there's any interest yet on Snead. Again, I would expect that for Snead in particular, since I don't think that he has any new issues. I think that obviously his only injury issue is the continuing issue with the knee. That he is probably a post-draft consideration that teams are going to be thinking about after the draft as far as, is this a guy that you want to bring in? Hill, like I said, I mean, if somebody wants to sign him now, great. If I'm the Chiefs, if I'm any team, I honestly wouldn't sign him until he's ready to get back on the field. And we don't know. I mean, based on the timeline of his injury and the surgeries that was still to go, I mean, September was probably going to be the time. I don't think he's going to be ready by the beginning of training camp, which is another reason why I wouldn't sign Tyreek until he's healthy and ready to go. But on top of that, then at the end of the day, I don't know if the Chiefs are ready to go back down for that reunion. Maybe they would be. It certainly looks like Tyreek has been campaigning to come to Kansas City, but nothing's happened with it yet. So I would guess it's probably a no on both those guys, but you never know. You do never know. All right, everybody, we've got a full week ahead of you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Big show with Nick coming in. Glad you could all be there for that. We've got a lot of shows coming up for you the rest of the week. If you haven't checked it out, we've got Andy Reid from yesterday. Looks like it hasn't published, but Nick Bolton is going to be coming up. And then the rest of the week, like I said, for the draft on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we will be bringing you everything from Andy Reid, Clark Hunt, Brett Veach, the new member of the Chiefs Hall of Fame, the draft picks on their Zooms, any of the first-round players, if they make any appearances over the weekend after their draft on Thursday night, we might see them. You never know. We'll see if we can sneak in some surprises, and obviously we'll have 3 big episodes of 41 is the mic this weekend, breaking down all of the draft. Everybody have a great rest of the week. Thank you so much. Enjoy the draft. Have fun. Check everything out that we've got going on at Chiefs Digest, both here on YouTube. Actually, you'll see a lot of this on Twitter as well if you're there on X, and Facebook, and obviously you can go to ChiefsDigest.com as well. Everybody have a great week. Thank you so much. Take care.